I suppose that's why the picture's there.
That would be why it's there.
Why do I have to look at myself all the time? It's really hard. Anyway, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. We've got some new
architecture. Just want to get in the center for that one. See, you've got to center yourself on that screen.
Which one?
That one.
I can't see myself there.
Yeah, that's why you got to center yourself.
Oh, crikey.
More.
Oh, man. Right. That's that. Right. Where were we? Oh, that's right. Yeah. I just went up to Northern Territory, which was the only state or territory in Australia we haven't done archaeology in.
Yes.
It was. It was the last one. It was like
we visited, but it's been now.
No, we've never done archaeology there.
Yeah.
So what happened was some wonderful human beings, Janice and Jono, I won't go into more detail on that, made contact with me, and what had actually happened was Jono was down the front of his property, and he just bought the property. There were about 150 tyres down there, by the way, Evan. And then he moved all the tyres, and then there's this grass that grows up that goes 2 meters wide by 3 meters high. It's American grass, and everyone in the Northern Territory hates it.
Right.
It makes the worst fire ever. You can't put it out. Anyway, he's clearing that all away. He was making an area there to sort of get all the water away from that area, because the whole of all the water on the property runs into that corner. And lo and behold, there sticking out of the ground was this something that looked like it was stone or metal, and he dug it out and pried it out, and it turned out to be a Chinese seal. And Evan's got a picture of it, haven't you?
I'll get some pictures up
now.
Evan's
going to put a picture up of it. Now, what happened for a long time is they didn't know what it was. And I think for about 3 years, it just stayed with them, and they weren't sure what it was. And then finally, I think what happened was Janice told me she went into a shop at Bachelor, and the lady there was Chinese and recognised it. And that started a process. And over the last 2.5 years, they first of all went to the accredited Australian sources, as you should, shouldn't you, Evan? You should go over. So that's where it is there. Thank you.
I haven't got it up
yet.
Oh,
it's about to.
Yeah.
Right. So they did that. And I've got to tell you, the Australian sources were, in combination, pathetic. And I'm being quite complimentary of their work. But I'm not going to go into details about that, because I'm more interested in what happened. After a while, Janice and Jono realised these people were useless, and they went overseas. And this preliminary report and the whole of the press release is based upon what was found overseas. Now, who did they chase overseas? One of the top scholars in America. And they also chased a very small organisation called the British Museum, that you might have heard of them. And if I can read it to you, because this name is in the preliminary report, it's Dr. Luck, Yu Ping, I think I got that right, curator of Chinese paintings and prints at the British Museum. He got involved in this because when he saw it, he knew this was just not a normal seal. This was different. And what's happened is him, along with another gentleman, Mr. Ed Liu, and also Ian, what's his last name? Is it in there somewhere? We better find it. I've got to give this guy the credit for what he's doing. He's from the Menzies Institute, and his name will come to me sooner or later. His first name is Ian. It'll turn up somewhere along the line. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What happened was they looked at the preliminary work they've done. That's Jono and Janice. And they realised this thing was something completely different than what we thought. Now, originally, what the Australian group said was, it's just another one of those statues.
Ian
Hudson, thank you so much. One of those statues. You know how when they find statues up in the Northern Territory, they always say the same thing, don't they, Evan?
A miner dropped it.
A miner dropped it. They say it to everything they find, a miner dropped it. Now, that's fine, but this particular seal, if a miner was to touch that seal, you know what would happen to them? They'd be killed. They're not allowed to touch it. In fact, this seal is so sacred, only the emperor or someone of his lineage is even allowed to put their fingerprints on it. And as for someone wandering to Australia to try and dig up some dirt It's just not going to happen. So what they found straight away, and I'm going to read from the press release. Now, what we've done is we've got two papers. We've done a press release, and then we've put up the actual press release that they put up, so that anyone who thinks I'm making this up or even lied about it, go and check the actual release. And I've got to make the point. The group involved in this includes the British Museum, and they are incredibly interested in this because it's legitimate. And this is what the abstract of the paper that we've just put up reads, and it reads like this. Okay. Yeah, that's the same one I'm going to read. It says here, in May 2002, a copper alloy seal bearing Chinese inscriptions was discovered near Tortilla Flats, Northern Territory, Australia. Preliminary metallurgical and epigraphic analysis suggests the object predates any known modern or colonial presence in the region, which means it predates everything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't put this in the press release, but I'm going to share this with you now. It is well known, and we read all about it in Jennifer Isaac's book, didn't we, Evan? That there are stories from the original people that have been telling anyone that wanted to listen from the first time academics and archaeologists got up there, that there were people living in the top end for a long, long, long time. And they had light skin, which rules out Indians and Indonesians. They wore sarongs. They grew rice. They built houses. And they lived there with their permission for a long period of time. In fact, we've read one account from Jennifer Isaacs, a very well-respected archaeologist, who explained that the two creation spirits that made everything met the Chinese when they were there. And one of them traded a rainbow-coloured string that he really enjoyed and liked and traded with them. And another one of the creation spirits ate rice with them. And the stories we've read is the original people gave them all sorts of generous. First of all, they let them live on the land. They let them farm the land and dig up the soil, which is against the dreaming. They let them build houses. They brought looms to weave their cloth. And they never asked how to do it. They just let them live their lifestyle. And that continued for, we think, thousands of years. Now, what's actually happened is, you put up another. That's another statue that was found there. The one Evan's putting up now was found in 1870 something by people putting in a road, and they dug underneath a banyan tree. Thank you. I was in the 1870s. I got basically right. I could have left it that, Evan, instead of showing out I didn't quite get it right. I was pretty happy with that. And what happened was he dug up this banyan tree, which is like a fig, and he went down 4 feet before he found that statue, which is a statue of longevity. Now, what originally was said, and it's still said to this day, 19th century, who was it, Evan? Chinese?
Miners.
Miner.
And not only did they drop it, they dropped it into a hole in the ground, and then a tree magically grew on top of it. 4 feet on top of it. I think the tree is a couple 100 years old.
Yes,
so
it is.
They managed to either...
Hang on. If it's 200 years old and they found it in 1875, wouldn't that make it 1675?
It would, yes.
But the archaeologists ignored that. They said, no, 19th century. And by the way, this is a statue of longevity. If I'm a Chinese gold miner going to Australia, I got 2 concerns. Number one, will I come back alive? Because many Chinese, and I'm going to tell you the truth here, they were massacred, like the original people, because the white fellas thought they were taking their gold. And secondly, they went there to make money. Now, one of those statues is a statue of longevity.
I'll give you his name.
Why would they lose that statue of all the statues to lose? Now, this particular statue is not of longevity. It's about Zhao, Z-H-A-L, who is an incredibly important being. Now, Zhao, and I'm going to read some of the different things he was. He was the Marshal of the Thunder Department. the general of the palace, the chief of the 28 constellations, the inspector of the 5 directions, the chief of the 5 tiger generals, and in fact, there's another 8. It just goes on and on. Why would any miner or rice farmer be holding something that was made in the imperial foundry? Over 20 years it took to make. There were 9 castings, and every time they casted this particular seal, they gave it ceremony. And guess how many elements were inside this particular seal? 27. And let me read to you what the geological report said about this. The alloy composition was remarkable, showing advanced metallurgical knowledge inconsistent with colonial or industrial contamination. 27 elements went into this piece, and 2 of them were molybdenum and titanium. Now, molybdenum was first used in industrial processes in the 1890s. Titanium was first used in industrial processes in the 1940s. This seal is somewhere between 700 to 3,000 years old. That is well before this type of technology was around, and that is why the metallurgical report used the word remarkable and said that it's above an advanced knowledge inconsistent with colonial and industrial contamination. So what we have here is a seal found 100 kilometres from Darwin inland, not on the coast. Secondly, it's made from material that nobody in the world was supposed to be using. And you know what's clever about this? The molybdenum, which by the way is over 2% in the 2 readings there, was above 2% because there's 2 alloys together. Could you show them the picture in the back, or don't we have one of the back? Of the back. Okay. Eva might show you a picture of the back. And you'll see it's actually 2 alloys that were joined together. On the front, it looks like one. Ah, there it is. He's going to show you now. But in the back, there's the copper alloy that you can see, copper and zinc. And then within it, where the hole is in the back, they placed a different alloy that was made out of iron and nickel. Now, in that alloy, the 2 readings there that they got had 2% and over 2% molybdenum. Now, what is molybdenum? It's a metal hardener, one of the best on the planet. In fact, there's only one that's better. Do you know what that one is, Evan? What's better than molybdenum?
Titanium?
Titanium is correct. Oh, guess what? That was in there too.
Oh, there you go.
And of course, yeah, as we know, it was first used in 1941. And this one is going back to at least the 13th century and maybe even into BCE, past there. So that asks huge questions. But it goes further than that, ladies and gentlemen, because we were told until the 1400s, nobody set sail from anywhere to go to another place. Christopher Columbus found America, 1492. Magellan and Ferdinand Magellan, he tried to sail around the world, and he did. But you know what, Evan? He didn't. He died halfway through.
He died in the Philippines.
Yeah, he didn't go all the way around.
Actually, only 18 people made it.
Oh, really?
The whole way out of warships. The rest were either died or disappeared or whatever.
But here we go.
18 made it all the way through.
Yeah, but here we've got a story of the Chinese sailing around the whole Pacific Ocean and going to Australia. Now, remember, there are a group of people they're called the Bani people, Baini. That name comes from the original people. And they claimed they were there for a long, long time. So we're now getting a different story about our immediate past. We've been working on 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 years when there's all sorts of lies and mistakes there, aren't there, Evan? We never actually thought these lies would run all the way through. But I suppose when you start making lies, you've got to make other lies to keep that lie alive, don't you? And they did. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're putting up is we basically looked at the chemistry. And we got a pretty good feel for this because we've got the rings and all that sort of stuff, and we learned about that. Now, when it comes to translating what's written there, in such an ancient script? Because when you look at that script, it's not like the Chinese writing you're used to seeing. This is more ancient. Well, in that, we are 101 students in our first day on course, aren't we, Evan? We don't know much. But when it comes to the British Museum, the guy chosen by the British Museum to look after all the Chinese artefacts, he knows more. And so do the other people involved, Ian Hudson, and what's the other gentleman's name? It's Mr. Liu, isn't it? Yeah. He's from America. They've got someone from America, Ed Liu, that's right. He's from America, Ian Hudson, and of course the British Museum are from Britain. Now those two countries have joined together with others, and you'll find we've also attached their full preliminary report. Now, for a little while, they weren't sure if they wanted to put this up, did they, Evan? They weren't sure because it's preliminary. But they have decided, and we got word about this today, didn't we? Today.
Literally,
yeah.
As soon as we...
Yeah, they said they want it up now. They were very happy with our report, and they wanted it to go up now to make people know, or give them a general idea.
Oh, look, and it's quite good.
It tells you everything.
It tells you what tests are needed,
yeah,
what the test will cost,
yeah,
what
immediate protective measures, recommended next steps. It's a full preliminary report, which means it's not finished yet. But what we put it out is because basically Janice and Jono, they arranged for some tests to take place.
Here's a good comment.
What?
Yes, well.
Why tell lies to people about ancient history? I don't understand. Yeah, nor do I, but I can tell you one thing.
They do it.
They do it all the time. And you were told it was the Europeans who first started sailing to other countries. It wasn't. It was the Chinese.
And when you look at who visited Australia, who came here, so
the Egyptians, Phoenicians, Pleiadians,
Dutch,
Chinese,
Macassan,
Dutch,
Indian,
Macassans, Indians,
Viking,
Spanish, Portuguese. And you know who the last mob to come were?
South American.
Yeah, the last mob to come were the British. And you know what? I want you to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The original people gave them access, the Chinese, to two tribal groups. We know which ones they are, and some of the coast. The coast was for the men who they didn't really like, but didn't dislike, but didn't really gel with them. And the women, oh my God. Did they like the women, Evan?
They really liked the women.
Oh, did they like the women? I've written in a book we're writing about this. This is not a history, it's a romance. They love the women. But you know what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen? They're there for thousands of years. And they didn't like the men that much at all. That's very clear. They just say, oh, we tolerated them. If that had been anywhere else in the world, well, you had two groups of men that were neighboring tribes to each other. You don't think that would have ended up in conflict at some stage, but it didn't here. There was no conflict. There was nothing close to it. There was a real agreement between both groups. And here's the point. For them to stay for thousands of years and being given the right to stay on two properties only means there was an agreement, a treaty, a makarata. And they had an agreement. It was like a long-term lease where they didn't own it. But you know what's interesting, Evan? When they left, and they didn't want them to leave, they didn't kick them out. When they left, they dedicated land in Australia to be sacred land for them on Australian country. They gave up some of their land for the Barmy people from China because they loved their presence and enjoyed being with them. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's in our release. And then what we've added as of today is the full preliminary paper. Because some people have said, oh, you just pick bits and pieces out to suit your story. Well, if you think that, read the whole thing. And you'll find out, we're talking the British Museum that are putting their name to a preliminary paper and are allowing it to go out to mainstream around the world. They don't normally do this until they got the full thing.
So, you know, to whoever I forget who the troll was that said that it's from Temu. It's not.
Just from where?
Temu. Temu is like a discount store.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So you can get everything really cheap.
Yeah, and they make stuff with molybdenum and titanium in it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think of something. When people started making metal to begin with, right, and that's, last 2,000 years, I suppose. It might be a little bit less than that, but whenever they did it, when they started with their foundries, they chucked in, if they were making iron and probably 2 or 3 things. If they were making brass, which is copper and zinc, maybe 2 or 3 others, not 27. Not 27. That's why the metallurgical report called this remarkable. So, what does it mean? It means that what you've been told about, we knew the way back, was all a lie. But we can change that, can't we? We can say way back, getting close, getting real close, and basically yesterday, whatever you've been told is incorrect. And you know what? It's interesting. When Cook raised the flag, and I've read his diary about this, he raised the flag the same day he saw an original person walk down with a bow and a bundle of arrows. And that's in Cook's report. How many of your children or yourself have been told that when you went to school? I know that's true because I actually got the book that was published by the New South Wales Department of Education. It's called The Myth of Terra Nullius, and basically it's about the fact that Philip and Cook were serial liars. And about a couple of days before it came out, the Department of Education read those books and they destroyed all 5,000 of them.
You managed to get one copy.
I got the only copy. And in it, it tells me, absolutely, Cook raised the flag and said this. On the day he raised the flag, apart from seeing a bow and arrows, he also said, I saw, and this, you're not going to believe this one, Evan, I saw a group of natives. When they saw me, they walked away. And do you know what he thought that meant?
What?
That meant they gave him permission to raise the flag. Because in his orders, he was told he could only raise the flag with the permission of the original people. And he was only allowed to take land that would suit first settlement. He raised the flag and claimed the whole east coast of Australia and said when he did this, and I've read it, well, no one's been here before me. So where does that put Van Diemen and Abel Tasman and Dirk Hartog and William Dampier? They didn't come because Cook said no one came to Australia before me. Therefore, I can claim it all.
And,
yeah, that's the sort of lies we're dealing with. And we knew we had those lies. But now it turns out that not only were the Egyptians here, which we knew about, didn't we? And we also knew about the Phoenicians. And we've tried to give evidence for that, but people won't take it. They keep making up excuses. I remember for the Egyptian one, it was the deranged Czech, wasn't it? That scratched all the engravings up on one day.
I've made diagrams on their excuses. It need to be diagrammed. They seem to alternate between, there's a lot of forgetful people with holes in their pockets because they're dropping things constantly.
Oh, man, this Chinese.
Whether they're an African tourist that's dropped Ross's rock
right.
number 1.
We've got African coins that are from Tanzania that are 1,000 years old.
So we're dropping things.
Yeah, that was in Elgo Island,
But then what I love when we drop things, then a whole bunch of soil
drops on top of it. Yeah.
Every time. Like a couple of meters of soil.
Oh, it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter how many meters. It was still dropped in the 19th century, wasn't it? And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're not joking. That is the standard reply for anything that's found in the top end. What I find interesting is this particular seal, which is a seal that guarantees wealth and virtually everything. And I can tell you now, the British Museum are going to tell you exactly the same thing. This comes from the emperor. It doesn't come from any other seal. It comes from the Imperial Foundry. 20 years to make this. 9 castings. Everything blessed. Everything given ceremony. This is not a common seal. And the question that everyone's got to ask is, what is it doing laying in the dirt for hundreds, maybe thousands of years? And while it was there, you know how they normally put them in museums? Imagine what this got. It rains for 6 months of the year, would have been laying in mud, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then for the other 6 months, it's stinking hot. And then, do you know what walks past that area? Water buffalo. They could have walked on top of it, couldn't they?
Yeah.
And then it goes further, doesn't it, Evan? Could have been lightning because it's metal, isn't it? Now, here's the interesting part, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it does get interesting. That seal is so sacred. It's also a seal for navigation. And on the four sides, it's got about 15 stars. It's got a mountain that's drawn. It's got a crescent moon. It's got a full moon. It's to tell them where they're going and how to get there. But here's the point. It must be, and I've forgotten the name of it, a Zen Marzuk or something like shrine is built around it to house it. And that stays on the boat. And it isn't taken off. They don't hand it out to the first Chinese gold miner they find, who then well, you can't put that in your pocket, can you? It's a 9-inch square, 9-inch by 9-inch. It's pretty hard to ram in your pocket. What I find interesting is when they drop these statues, why don't they pick them up?
Don't know.
They just drop and run, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like when they drop the statue, they run away from it, which is interesting because they believe it was going to keep them safe and give them a lot of money. It's funny what they're running away from. Isn't that a form of suicide? Well, you throw away the thing that protects you from dying. Anyway,
it doesn't make sense.
What we've got now is two things. Our report, which focuses on the ridiculous claims to try and explain away the molybdenum, which is wrong. We did that. We're doing the chemistry, and we're going to look at that in more detail. And we have. In the book I've written, I've done 3 chapters on the chemistry to prove to everyone that there are scientists working with chemistry that we only just understand today. And what I find interesting, when you see that picture there and you find the molybdenum was in the iron one, that iron one is where the ink sits. When you you put the ink from there in the back there, and you put your paintbrush in there, and then you paint it on the front. Now the ink sits there, which means that's a liquid area. And do you know what iron and liquid do when they go together? They rust, don't they? So you know what the science did? He put in 2% molybdenum, and that's a metal hardener. One of the best. That's pretty clever, isn't it? And in the other one, in the copper one, they put in titanium. Is that why after 3,000 to 4,000 years or 500 or 600 years it looks so new?
It does, yeah.
Doesn't it? And where's it been sitting? In an air-conditioned room, in a safe somewhere, kept at the right conditions, because there's a whole thing about storing it.
Yes.
And they say, don't let it go into humidity. I've got to tell you something about the top end.
It's all humidity. It's mango mad in this country. That's why people, when it's not raining, go out with raincoats and umbrellas up and just walk down the street.
There is.
Like, they've lost their mind.
It's called the tropo season, when everyone goes mad because the humidity is 99% and it ain't raining. And they're saying keep it out of humidity. It's been sitting in the ground. It's been humidified, hasn't it? It's been wetted. I reckon it's been trampled on by water buffalo. Everything's happened to it, and look at the state it's in. This is the most precious and sacred object from anywhere else in the world that's been brought to Australia. And we stored it here for a long, long time in the Australian dirt. And there it sat for a long period of time until Jono, when he's cleaning the back part or the front part of his property, stumbled upon it. And you know, for a couple of years, all they got were lies. You're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen. Every Australian group they went to told them exactly the same story, and it was a lie. Did you know that one of the groups said they actually found it, Evan? They said they found it, and this is what they found. They've never been allowed on the property. The only person who's been allowed on the property from Australia is me. All the rest haven't. And I went with Jono, and he took me down and showed me what happened, where it was found, how it was found. And then I sat down with Janice when she tried to teach me, because my God, this woman knows a lot about Chinese history, I can tell you. And she tried her hardest to teach me different points. Could you imagine how that went, Evan?
And I wasn't there as bookmark.
Oh, no, it was bad.
Because I'm human bookmark.
I know. I mean, I've got a bit. I probably know, 101. I'm probably into the 3rd lesson. It's a 4-year course, isn't it, at uni? Yeah. Well, I'm probably into the 2nd week. I've got a bit of an idea. But what I'm doing, and what we're both doing, is this. We're bowing to the experts. And this lady and this gentleman have found these experts from America, from England, who know their stuff back to front, and they are consulting with others. And if you look at this, what they've got to do there, they've got to do another, I think, 6 tests, isn't it, Evan?
Let me get
have a look there.
They are suggesting X-ray
fluorescence, yeah,
XRF, scanning electron microscopy, which is SEM, isotopic lead analysis,
yeah,
thermoluminescence.
Thermoluminescence, you've got to do that one.
Analysis and contextual soil sampling.
The thermoluminescence will be brilliant because it tells you the last time it stored the sun.
Aging,
yeah. That'll get an approximate casting period. So when that's all done, ladies and gentlemen, we'll find out.
We'll find out the region
whether it's 700, 900, 1000, 2000, and we have one date of 900 BCE, which is nearly 3,000 years ago. We don't know which of these is right, but what the experts have said is whatever the date, it predates anyone that's ever been to Australia. And they had a treaty. It sort of makes you wonder, how does the British treaty stand up? Oh, one was signed yesterday in Victoria.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
First treaty in Australia was signed yesterday with a state government that doesn't count for much. It's got to be the Australian government that does the treaty, mate. That's just tokenism. The point being, ladies and gentlemen, there was a treaty with the Spanish.
So, looking in this book, there are a few earlier mentions of Australia in Confucius, Autumn and Spring Annals, 481 BC.
Yeah, 481 BC. There are many mentions like that.
And then the Classics of Mountains and Sea describes boomerangs, black millet, and kangaroos, and that's 338 BC. And then there's the Atlas of Foreign Countries at 265 to 316 AD, small black natives in Northern Australia.
Oh, so ladies and gentlemen, you got to remember something too. The Chinese went to a place called Java. You've all heard of that. And then they spoke of a place below Java and they called it Greater Java. Now, Java's pretty big, but this place must be bigger than Java because you wouldn't call it greater, it's less, would you? You call it Little Java.
Yeah, it's on a few maps.
Yeah, it is on the maps. They've been up the top. And ladies and gentlemen, they've been in Australia. The Barmy were in here thousands of years ago. The Chinese have been here for thousands of years ago. And it changes our history. It tells us now that we've got a story about around about 1400s. We start to sail to other places. No. Happened much earlier. But here's the important part. When it happened, the metal they made, we can't make. We couldn't make that metal until the 20th century. Remember, molybdenum first used for the first time, 1891, titanium, 1941, 50 years later. We could only make this last century. That is the big issue here. What's it doing here? Why is it here? I think it's obvious why it was here, because the Chinese were here. So, ladies and gentlemen, 2 that have come out, a report from us, then a report from the experts. We do the chemistry, they do the story. And you put that together and you have 2 parts of a story that don't fit into any history book on this planet. So that means we have to change our history. And this time, you can't block it. You can't tell me a Chinese gold miner dropped it in the 1900s, or the 1800s, or the 1700s, or the 1600s, or even the 15 or 1400s. Not even this fleet of 1421 is going to fit into this. It's got to be earlier. In fact, that's what the Menzies Institute have said, haven't they? They've actually said it's earlier than 1421. So that means we've got a new story and a new history to Australia. And where does that put the British? The last to come and the only ones who didn't go when they were asked to leave. And they were asked to leave, weren't they? We know that story. They were asked to leave in the 1790s. We've even seen the treaty, haven't we? Remember that rock? Yeah. I wonder where they got that from. They got that from someone else, didn't they? Chinese. Yeah. Or the Egyptians. Anyway, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Something you put up. This will be an ongoing piece of work. And I think it's got a lot of legs and it's going to go a lot of places. We are going to try and get it into mainstream, but that will be an interesting concept. Whatever.
Yeah. So what you can all do in the meantime is share the reports, share this press release around as far as you can.
Yep.
Let's organically get it out there.
Make it so they have to talk about it, because the truth will set you free. I've heard a lot of people say that, from Nelson Mandela and others. Well, here's the truth. And what you have at the moment is our kids have been told a story about Australia that is a lie. It's a lie. It's that simple. Okay. Let's finish up. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right. That's done.